everyone. Once again, sorry for a short delay that we had, but this is the first conference of the whole event. So we hope you'll enjoy for the rest of the time, and those 50 minutes will be even more intense and more interesting. I would like to ask our panelists, Mr. Andris Sprūds, Latvian Minister of Defense and one of the coordinators of Drone Coalition for Ukraine, to join the panel. Lieutenant Colonel Linas Idzelis, the commander of Riflemen Union of Lithuania, equivalent of National Guard in USA, joined the panel as well. And Arūnas Kumpis, a volunteer soldier fighting for Ukraine since the large-scale invasion, which went through many different changes of the war. And please welcome. The war in Ukraine is as much about the logistics as it is about tactics and strategy. In an attritional conflict like this, which saps deeply into the stockpiles of allied nations supporting both sides of the conflict, we need to adapt and we need to innovate quickly. The technologies such as small UAVs being a revolutionary equipment and the tactics that evolved around it changed the war to the point where it's never going to be the same, and the tactics are evolving at the speed that is incomprehensible to many militaries in the Western world. To address these challenges and to see how the conflict is evolving, I would like to start with Mr. Andris Sprūds with a high-level overview of his activities on and the specific question is, what is the Drone Coalition and how it is helping to support Ukraine? So,
okay, so can you hear me? Yes, everything is even closer. Okay. So let's put it even closer. Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for having me. It's really the impressive event in many ways. So I think dynamic is here, and it's also the pleasure to have you here in a discussion part as well. I think it's important to discuss those things. Technologies, drones, counter-drones, electronic warfare, artificial intelligence, 5G, etc., etc. As you said, Mr. Moderator, that war is never going to be the same. And drones, it's already not about the future, it's about today. So the drones, of course, are changing the landscape of the war, landscape of efficient warfare effort, and of course also in Ukraine. And here, when I went to Ukraine last December, already some time ago, and when we discussed also with my counterpart, we decided that exactly we should move forward with also how we can support Ukraine in terms of technologies. So we decided that we should move forward within a context of Rammstein framework, the capability coalitions, that we are also building a drone coalition. So we initiated drone coalition, and on 14th of February, the letter of intent was signed, and now there are 14 countries which are full members of the drone coalition. Just recently, in a ministerial meeting in Brussels, in NATO, a couple of days ago, last week, Italy and France has joined as well. So we are glad that there is actually a very good group of countries. And it's not just about European partners, it's also about Canada, it's about Australia. We have also the wider framework as well. There is interest from other countries as well. So we might expect some expansion, some enlargement of the drone coalition. So the drone coalition, of course, the primary task is to support Ukraine, to supply Ukraine with a number of drones. The ambition is actually to have 1 million drones, but here, of course, always some caveat, devil is in details, must be added. Drones are different capacities. Drones have different efficiencies. Of course, drones starting from FPV drones until you can say more strategic reconnaissance drones. So that's why it's not just about the numbers. Numbers are not unimportant because we see that quantity is important also in Ukraine. So that's why there is an ambition. But at the same time, of course, we provide all spectrum of different technologies in terms of drones, in terms of electronic warfare devices as well. So we move forward in this regard. As I said, primary task is to supply support Ukraine. But in the process, we also realize how much it is also opportunity to develop our own industrial, technological, innovative, creative base. So we are moving forward also with developing our own industrial, technological base so that we can do several tasks at the same time. Supporting Ukraine, developing our industrial, innovative base, of course also international partnership. Just recently we announced together with UK, we are co-leading nation with UK, United Kingdom, Latvia and United Kingdom. So among those 14 members. So we are also announced a tender. Couple of hundred of different drone companies already applied for, let us say, this tender. It's just a starting point internationally. But in the meantime, we can do also a lot of things nationally, developing our own industrial base, not only industrial base, but also the testing and training base. We established in Latvia the testing grounds, testing facility, because at the very end you need to test all those drones. So that's why I think there is opportunity for everyone. I think we should really be passionate. As you see, I am actually very passionate about this because I believe that this is extremely important to move forward with all technologies. And it's also for industry, for our creative minds to give our contribution, once more, as I said, to develop our own industrial base, to strengthen our own armed forces, to establish a strong international partnership. Last but not least, of course, supporting Ukraine in Ukraine's fight for freedom. So that's why there is a multiple task what we can do together. And drones are multipliers of our forces in many ways. So that's why, of course, absolutely the drone coalition, I think is a very good tool and good instrument to move forward and to have this framework which gives additional push to the drone industry and once more supporting Ukraine. So thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. For the second question, I would like to move to Mr. Idzelis, which commands a union, Riflemen Union, a volunteer-based organization, around 9,000 strong, as far as I remember. And it would be really interesting if you could share how the Riflemen Union is adopting the lessons from Ukraine. The country of Lithuania is surrounded from both sides, from two sides, by Belarus and Russia. How are you preparing to deal with the changes in geopolitical conflict situation and the technological revolution that is happening?
Thank you, Thomas, for inviting me to speak here on behalf of my organization. Like 4 years ago, we started in our organization using the small quadrocopters. This is simple civilians like DJI, Mavic 3, Hotel, different kind of, small drones. And then in 2022, when the war already broke out in a full spectrum, we actually also went to Ukraine and copied some ideas and started creating at home FPV drones. FPV drones, actually, this is a game changer for this year, for upcoming years, and for the future. You see now all this fancy equipment, the armored vehicles, the APCs, infantry fighting vehicles, the tanks. For the future battle, D+3, most of them will be burned by the small FPV drones, which cost like 300 or 350 euros plus explosives, all in all 600 euros. And with this 600 euros, you're going to burn the tank, which costs like million of euros here. In our organization, we are developing basically the ecosystem of different kind of drones and anti-drone systems. We have reconnaissance drones, we have strike capabilities. We think about how to train both operators for fixed wings, for quadrocopters, FPV drones. All the operators, the training is completely different. Then support and logistic, that everything breaks. The UAVs are falling. Then from 3 you need to create 2. And you need to have anti-drone systems. If you have now anti-drone system, in 2 months, they will be obsolete. Let's go on the first thing. What we use actually the small quadrocopters to do the reconnaissance or fixed wings. Fixed wings, we fly like 30, 40 kilometers, might stay like 3-4 hours in the air, airborne. What we use as well, actually the small quadrocopters, the DJIs, hotels, Falcon, which are produced in Lithuania or elsewhere. What is necessary to have? Definitely Starlink, to have autonomous internet capabilities. And then you need to broadcast somehow into the command post. This is not up to the pilot to make a decision. Usually colonels or generals making a decision, and general might be like 300 kilometers away from the drone, and the drone might give him a variety of possibilities to make a decisions. At the company level and the platoon level, it's pretty easy, to use, for example, a tag system which is open, which is used by the American police, and to map all the enemy. But when you come to the higher headquarters, I mean the battalion headquarters, brigade headquarters, when the units are dispersed, then you need to think how you're going to broadcast into the command post. The strike capabilities, as I mentioned, FPV drone or drops. You can drop the grenade, you can drop, artillery shell, I mean the mortar shell, 82 millimeters, 120 millimeters, anti-tank mine, 2 anti-tank mines, to do some home explosives, and it's pretty cheap, and you can burn the tank, APC, or even search for one single soldier and eradicate the single soldier, Really important training, special training programs, the simulators, and start this training already at schools. We have a cadet corps, which is 6,000 strength in our organization, and we're already training them. With the glasses, how to operate FPV drone. That's because, it takes, 60 hours at least. Then you go to the field and already execute a mission. And the last Saturday, one guy mixed up the cars and just hit the front window instead of target and to his friend. And the training, as I mentioned before, the fixed wing, the quadrocopters and FPV drones, completely different teams and completely different training. Also think about the counter UAVs. The first thing you need to have the spectrum analyzer to see what kind of drones are flying above you, or approaching you. What the frequencies are used, which you need to jam. That's because frequencies are changing, every 2 weeks. And if you have now modern UAV capabilities, in 2 months, most likely that we will be obsolete. Not old, but obsolete. Repair and maintenance, really important to have repair and maintenance capabilities. That's because those drones are falling, they might be under the electronic warfare, and they will be falling. That's why you need to have the special teams, which are just assembling FPV drones, for example. Another team is making explosives. The third team responsible for the repair and maintenance. And this is our repair and maintenance capabilities in Ukraine. This is a stationary and also on wheels in a van. There are few seats. And this van is standing behind the combat brigades. The combat brigades assembling already destroyed drones and bringing back, and within a week they will be receiving them back. And we already repaired, for like 3 millions. Yeah, after the 22, we have 3D printers, CNC capabilities, which is really, really important. And start also. This is my suggestion. Think about also repair and maintenance capabilities in order to ensure all the ecosystem and all the life cycle of drones here. I conclude and hand over to Arūnas, who is actually sitting in the trenches and executing missions.
Thank you, Linas. So let's move to Arūnas, who have been fighting in Ukraine for over 2 years now and have seen the development of the modern battlefield since the beginning of large-scale invasion. So could you please share how the situation and the battlefield changed during those times, and what are the systems and technologies that are gaining the prominence and are hardest to counter?
Thank you. Hello, dear participants. Thank you for having me here. And I will try to describe how battlefield looking now, today in Ukraine, and how it possibly can look in the future. In order to realize and to understand it, you should understand that three main things. That first of all, everything is changing very fast. Second one is that distances between confronting sides changing also. And if in the beginning of war, distance between sides, front lines was about, not urbanized territories, was about 4 or 5 kilometers. And it was dictated by effective range of 120 millimeters mortars and anti-tank guided missiles. Today, then FPV drones are used massively. This range between two sides is about 10, even 15 kilometers. And I think it will grow in the future. And third one fact is that nothing happened in battlefield without participation of drones or UAVs. There are, by my classification, what I did, there are 4 main types of UAVs which we are using in battlefield. First is long range fixed wing UAVs, which can be in the air, fly about 3 hours and have effective range about 100 kilometers. And they are making reconnaissance and looking for high-value targets. Second one is big drones, as I call it, octocopters, which are destroying targets at night time. and they are destroying targets in range about 5 kilometers, and they can bring explosives today about 15 kilos. They can bring 2 anti-tank mines, for example, MT-62, and they are used now for other one purposes, for mining. They are bringing to the logistics routes mines, and it for soldiers there are no need to bring it and to risk lives. And the second one type of drones which we are using in Ukraine, and I am operator of these drones. It's FPV drones, first person view drone, and they are different sizes. We are using from 7 inches to 12 inches drones, and they can bring explosives to the targets from half kilo to 3 kilos. Different size, different types of explosives for infantry, for vehicles, and for destroying trenches. So this type of drones are using. We are using massively. One team which consists of 3 persons. It's first one is engineer, second one is navigator, and second operator, and third one is operator of drone. And one team usually use about 30-35 drones to the one way to target per day. So you can imagine how many drones are flying in the narrow area of battlefield, and there are many such kind of teams, and situation is that sometimes you should stay online to hit the target. And in 10 kilometers deep in front line, actually at daytime you can stand not minute at all. And when we are talking about vehicles, armored vehicles, if they are near to the front line about 10 kilometers or even 15 kilometers, many drones are coming to hit them. And when we see armored vehicles in this area, I mean 10 kilometers deep, you feel like you win in lottery. You can beat tank or other armored vehicle. So, if you wanna make distance, less distance between you and the enemy, you should move very, very fast, because reaction of FPV drones is 1 minute to start, and about 10 minutes to fly to the target. So everything is going on very, very fast. So actually, this war is changing rules of game totally, and now we have possibility to reach our targets with less cost. And if, for example, talking about artillery, shells of artillery costs thousands of dollars, and to hit target you should fire tens or hundreds shells. But with, for example, with FPV drone, you can hit target with one drone, which cost about 500 euros. So it's cost effective, and there is a main reason why FPV drones are so popular and why parts and Ukrainians and Russians they used massively. So, thank you.
Thank you, Arūnas. One thing to add from myself is that the drones are not only cost-effective, but they are extremely precise, which means that there is very, very limited collateral damage, which is a really humane way to fight. But coming back to the industry level. So Arūnas mentioned that one team can fire around 40 drones per day, assuming there is 1,000 teams operating, and that's a very, very huge underestimation. Ukraine would need 14,600,000 drones per year, 1,000 FPV teams just working on their regular schedule. Is this realistic, and what are the industry challenges that you see when gathering drone industry coalition? Is it possible to solve, and how are we to solve this challenge?
Yeah, thank you. I would again start with more general observation that war is changing, the world is changing, and of course also the coalition is changing all the time. So that's why, of course, we live in the middle of transformation, and a fundamental transformation. And discussing the war is changing. It means also that our armed forces, but it's not just about armed forces, it's pretty much a national mission and beyond, but national mission. Let's start with national mission, to build a national ecosystem with our own countries. Again, as a Minister of Defense, I believe that this is where small countries especially, but it's not just about small countries. It's where generally we have to move. We have to build a technological ecosystem, and drones are just part of it. Let's not just over-focus on drones, because it's about technologies, it's about drones, counter-drones, electronic warfare, artificial intelligence. You all the time compete. You all the time try to improve yourself. So that's why, of course, the ecosystem must be efficient, which sort of moves forward, let us say, those dynamics, this transition. So I would say, look, armed forces, of course, understanding among armed forces that we need to more and more integrate those strategies and tactics. Because Ukrainian example just proves it, that this is where we are. It's already not tomorrow, it's today. So armed forces, absolutely, is a stakeholder. The industry as a stakeholder, because once you make those decisions on strategic level, someone must also build those drones. Someone must all the time innovate as well. So I would add that it's not just about a industry, but also in research and development. It's all the time competing in a way of a mindset, in a sense, and minds, and intellectual as well competition. So it is also important to build the ecosystem in terms of that, exactly, education, that the young people are being educated. And we are starting in Latvia, as example, we are starting the courses for young people. There is a specific young military group. I mean, we are establishing those trainings among them, also professional soldiers, of course, as well. So the training and testing is extremely important. So building all the infrastructure, all the ecosystem to move forward. So this on national level, but of course we should look beyond national level. It is also about international cooperation here. And Drone Coalition is a very good example of this. I must also say that, of course, what happens in Ukraine, and as I mentioned previously, the world is changing. We see also that the rules-based international order, there are those who strictly defend it, and there are countries as well who are perhaps a little bit more distant. So it means that, of course, like-minded community in terms of supplies, in terms of cooperating, in terms of building the common effort, in terms of wider the build-up of a international ecosystem. It's also among allies and partners. It's among like-minded community. And we see who are like-minded community. Let's face it straightforwardly as well. Who is able to build, let us say, this community of alliance, including in technologies, including in drones. And here a Drone Coalition, of course, come into the picture. Yes, of course, we have to all the time innovate also our sort of structures and how we approach things. Your numbers are very ambitious, I would say. So as I've mentioned previously, let's start with 1 million drones providing Ukraine, but let's not forget about those other instruments, namely that Ukraine is building its own industrial base. So there are a number of millions actually what Ukraine can provide itself. So now, if we discuss Drone Coalition, not everyone has announced it publicly, but what we see from public statements, in a 4 months' time, because now Drone Coalition is for 4 months already in existence, more than 500 million euros have been committed. So when the funding is increasing. So that's why, of course, it is about a national or bilateral support. It is about common funding, what we can do together, but it's also about the common funding, what we can invest in Ukraine. So that's why there are a number of those ways, those sources, how we can support Ukraine, how we can provide the armed forces of Ukraine with those necessary drones. But once more, as I said, let's not forget about the wider ecosystem buildup. On a national level, on international, this is a basis for supporting Ukraine as well. So things are very much interconnected.
Thank you. And I think Linas is here ahead, building the ecosystem in the Riflemen Union, covering electronic warfare, intelligence gathering, and the strike capabilities. So this is not Ukraine. It's a NATO country building up a NATO force, and it's really interesting to hear out what the challenges you are encountering in developing this capability and adapting to the modern war.
Yeah, definitely. The first challenge is allocations, where to get money, you know. And when you get money, then it's a long acquisition system. You have money, then you need to select what product you need to have, you know. And then it takes like half a year, sometimes a year, to get already the quadrocopter or different other drones already in use. And the second challenge, definitely, I would say the effort, my first effort, this is a training. You can get material anyway. In case of war, you're going to get material from other countries, from donations, volunteers, we will get this equipment and then ship to you, you know. But training of personnel, that's, for example, where we have a training with the Ukrainians, with the drone battalion, and 57 hours, and most of the teams were already either killed in action or wounded in action. It means that you need to have enormous amount of teams, you know, and those teams need to be prepared. And the training also includes the repair and maintenance and also assemble of FPV drone. And for example, nowadays we are capable already, our teams, to assemble themselves FPV drone within 4 hours. Basically 4 hours, you attach the battery, you do the short test, and you're already airborne. It means it is feasible, and I know that in experienced teams, they have 3 hours, and keep a measure of effectiveness might be also like 2 hours. But the biggest challenge, what to attach, I mean, what kind of explosives to attach to the drone, the FPV drone. You need to have different kind of explosives in order to hit the tank, another kind of explosives in order to hit the trenches, and another kind of explosives to hit the single person or the crew which is running on a field. Basically, it's
Training, and material. Okay, thank you. So, as we had a lot of applauses for Arūnas, we'd like to hear some more wisdom out of the battlefield. And the question is that I'm always asking, what are the most urgent needs of the warfighters, and what do you need in Ukraine to really increase your capabilities?
Thank you. Actually, we need most of all fighters and good prepared fighters, because rifles not shooting by itself, and planes not flying by itself. Somebody should operate it. And as I said, in Lithuania, when we are talking for people who are responsible for our country defense, I say you can get equipments and armors and everything from our good friends, but you can't be sure that our friends would like to die for us. And we should be prepared and to have our own personnel, good prepared personnel, because when we are talking about new technologies and about equipments like FPV drones, to prepare good operator of FPV drone, it takes about half of year. Personally, I was learning about 3 months on computer and after on polygon, and after I started in battlefield, and it's not sure that you will have possibility to be first pilot, because it depends how you can work with your psychology, because it's different when you are flying and operate with drone somewhere in training center, and in battlefield, believe me, it's totally different. And then you are preparing 100 personnel operators. You can say that somewhere about 70 will have possibility to fly in battlefield, because many operators just have psychological problems after then they can't hit target first, second, third, and 10th time. Because it's when you are losing drones, it's very difficult for you to start and fly again. So personnel, operators are most important, and shortage what we have in Ukraine now, we have a shortage of qualified personnel. It's qualified operators, and what I say also, I will repeat in Lithuania, we should introduce centers of preparation where operators would be trained, prepared, and don't think a lot about equipments. We will have equipments when it happened, but when war happened. But for us, most important and most difficult will be to prepare operators. So there is biggest problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Arūnas. I would like to have a follow-up question, just to understand what is the capability of the FPV operator? Yesterday you mentioned that there's one guy, I cannot say the name, but that during the last year he properly on his own, being basically a light infantry soldier, took out the whole mechanized battalion of Russians. Is it a common thing? Does a one person can achieve those things in reality?
Thank you. Yes, reality is that when you have a lot of experience and your effectiveness is growing, and then we are talking about a person who just started to operate drones. His effectiveness can be about 10%. In the medium, somewhere effectiveness of hitting of targets is about 50%. It means every second one drone can hit target, and it doesn't matter. Sometimes people say that you need 5 or 10 drones to fire a tank. It doesn't matter tank is burned or not. Most important just to stop tank. And after this, there are a lot of types of measures how to destroy it completely. But most important, just to stop it, and you can do it just with one drone. And in Ukraine there are a lot of guys who are working with like operators of drones from the May of last year. Then FPV drones started used massively, and they have a lot of experience, and the effectiveness of them very high. And it's as I mentioned, and I can repeat once more that everything depends on professional personnel, on operators. And if you want to have good effectiveness, you should train soldiers.
Thank you. Well, this seems extremely asymmetric type of fighting when one person or a team of persons can destroy entire brigades of armored personnel. And I would like to get to the Andris once more, which is a defense minister of a rather small country, the same as Lithuania. And what do you think? Does this mean that even a small countries with capabilities that are asymmetric to this level are capable of defending themselves against the larger neighbors or the aggressors with less developed capabilities in this regard?
To put it shortly, yes, absolutely. So Russia's aggression in Ukraine has shaken many perceptions, many fundamentals in many ways, and also in terms of how small a nation can defend itself against aggressor. And Ukraine proves itself that it is able, with innovation, with human resource, with support, of course, as well, with technological breakthrough, can do a lot of things to defend itself. So that's why, of course, absolutely, so the small countries should look for all advantages, all means, how we can make the aggressor country to pay. So now we are in Latvia, we are discussing a drone army and actually introducing the drone armies, that we should go in that direction. Now also the number of countries on a front line, Baltic countries, Poland, Finland, discussing the drone wall. So it's also that we are not letting other drones to come in. So that it's also about electronic warfare. It's about the counter-drone technologies. But that's why absolutely. So we should go in that direction because we will not have a quantity in terms of the mass, in terms of the people. So the drones in many ways compensate, as was mentioned by you, I mean, very symbolically, that you can destroy by one skillful person a whole battalion of the fighting vehicles, mechanized battalion. So yes, at the same time, I think also the key is what has been said. It's still about a human being. It's still about individual. It's still about training. And at the very end, yes, we discuss about technologies, the tactics and strategies, how we use those technologies, about innovation. But at the very end, it's about the major capabilities, the major resource. It's a human. So in terms of training, in terms of protecting the human as well, in terms of moving forward with, let's say, those advances. So human is the most precious piece in the whole ecosystem. And that should be, of course, always remembered. So that's why training is absolutely, and testing and building ecosystem is absolutely the key in this regard.
Okay, thank you. I completely agree with that. Training, and being ready to fight with the technologies that we have.
And of course, one thing still, we should always remember that partnerships, and for us, a small country, yes, you mentioned a small country, but we are part of the most effective, most successful collective defense alliance in the human history. So, of course, it's NATO. So one fist is what we can do ourselves, and absolutely we should do ourselves and be ready. At the same time, of course, we should do it together with our partners, with NATO, with European Union. So we are building, I think, military industry in a wider, like-minded community, and this always should be remembered as well. Yeah.
Yep. This is exactly right, and as we are the countries near the front line, we can speak both Russian and Ukrainian. This is the part which I think will lead the development of this new doctrine, the introduction of new technologies into the rest of the NATO countries, which are much further away. But we as a company as well have this common mission, and if somebody is really far away from what we are talking here and discussing about the drones, ground stations, jamming, and etc., please feel free to contact us. We are here to build the capability, both in terms of equipment and in training, for the new type of warfare that is happening right now. As we still have 4 minutes left, I would like to give a word to the audience. If we have any questions to the panelists, it's a good time to ask. No? Okay. Then I would ask panelists for some final thoughts that they would like to share with the audience here. Maybe we can start with Linas.
I think that really important is to political masters and also for top brass leadership, military leadership, to acknowledge that the drone, or without a drone, it is not possible to fight. That's because some generals, they still think that the most important thing in a battlefield, this is a tank. And without tank, it is not possible to win a war. It is possible, that's because this tank will be destroyed during the 30 minutes, after the D-Day. That's why we need to refocus, rethink how the future battlefield will look like, in order not to spend, billions into very fancy equipment and to lose this fancy equipment D+3 and no equipment, storage is empty, and nothing left to fight. We need to think lots of cheap things, and in a battlefield, in a future battlefield, to create a chaos and to create multiple problem set for the enemy. The enemy is also very clever and learning very, very fast. And this would be my message to the top brass leadership.
Any other final thoughts?
Yes, I can just repeat. I think that war will never be the same, and world will never be the same. So the world and war is changing all the time. And I would even say that world and also war will never be as slow as it is today. It will become only faster, technologically more agile and more transformative. Now that's why, of course, when we think about all different capabilities, and we focus, and very importantly, we focus also on ammunition, 155. We can put in our stocks 155 for years, for decades. The problem a little bit with drones is that we cannot put those drones for a number of years and leave them. We all the time need to adjust. So all the time we need to catch up. All the time we need to transform. So that's why it's also about agility of the drones, but also about agility and adjustment of our minds, and how we're able all the time to sort of to make this ecosystem efficient and sharp and agile. And I think it will be a challenge. So that's why it's also on several layers. So it's on a hardware level, but it's also on a software level. And as you say, also on the political, military thinking level, how we all the time are able to adjust and integrate those things.
Thank you. Arūnas?
Okay, I would like to say and to mention how is important today to support fighting Ukraine, because it's war not against Ukraine, it's war against our civilization, and all people, Western civilization, civilization where is democracy highest value, should support Ukraine against this evil which are coming from Russia. And this is the most important thing. And it will cost for sure more if we not help Ukraine today. Tomorrow, cost will be bigger, more times. Thank you.
So huge thanks for all the panelists, and thank you for all the guests. I hope you've been entertained, and I hope something will stay with you. And this will build on our common goal to help Ukraine and help defend the Western values and the way of living that we are used to. Thanks.